Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back. It's that time of the month. It's Anime Odyssey.
That's
time,
right. We're on
Rory.
our period.
Oh, why I was really hoping you wouldn't go there. I could get away with it, but no, you went right there.
Yeah, I
You
did.
went right there. You gotta ruin it every time.
Yeah.
Every time. Welcome to Anime Odyssey, my friends, where we take time out of our lives, our schedules, to just spend a little bit of time talking about anime and anime-related topics, because that's what we do here. And I am, of course, joined by the bane of my life, Dermy Wormy. Hi, Dermy. How are you?
I'm actually, oddly enough, in a good mood after I get done editing it again. Hopefully, my Superman reaction will be up. Hopefully tomorrow. Have to edit some more stuff. Play around with some stuff. Hopefully, fuck Warner Brothers. Let me suck your dick a little bit, okay? But all in all, I'm in a good mood.
Say that.
I'm saying it. Let me suck your dick a little bit. I'm trying to praise you. I'm actually positive.
Wow.
God damn it.
We're clipping that.
Yeah, clip it. I don't give a shit.
Clipping that.
But anyways, other than that, I'm also loving milking these intergalactic Naughty Dog stands because God, Adam, you've seen the trailer already. You know the stuff.
Yeah.
What you want to know? What one of the defenses is for how the chick looks?
I think so, because it's
There,
sort of based on the real world chick that yet not they actually
oh no,
ugified her a
no.
little bit.
Well, yeah, yes and no. They're justifying her looking the way she does because Ripley looked the same way in Aliens
Oh
3.
no! Do not bring up Alien 3 as your defense. That is a reviled movie. No,
Not just that. Adam,
no.
did you know in Alien 3, Ripley specifically looks that way?
I know why. Because they have lice on that planet.
Not just that. It's a prison colony filled with nothing but dudes.
Yeah.
They purposely ugify her in the movie so she won't get assaulted.
Yeah, I hate that
They
movie. I hate that
there's
movie.
justifications for why she looks this way
Yeah.
in that movie. Do you really want to use the instance where they specifically ugify somebody to justify them making somebody else look this way?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a bad movie. This this is what happens when fake nerds and stans try to go to war with real nerds. They don't have the lore. They don't have the material to combat us. We have receipts.
Mhm.
We know what we're talking about. So good luck with getting the trailer out. I got mine out. I had to do some creative editing at a couple spots. My own fault, but it's out. You can go check it out. And check out Dermy's tomorrow. And we'll be talking Superman the rest of the weekend, but this is not the time or place for that.
Yeah.
This is a place for anime where we can have our fun with stuff. So hail to everybody in the chat. We hope we're happy to have you here. If you've not gone out to see Sonic 3, we're happy to have you here. You're coming back and watching us after you've gone to see Sonic 3. I hope you enjoyed the movie. I personally have no interest in it, but have fun. It's at least a franchise that has gone out of its way to respect its audience. So I give it that much credit. Right. So tonight, we've got a good show for you. No guest, obviously. It's just me and Dermy. We're going to talk Heavy Object, a single season of sort of mecha anime. I build it as mecha to Dermy because mechas are involved. It's a unique type of mecha, but it's got a very large human aspect to it too. Also dealing with the standard fares of what war does to people, that kind of stuff. Then we've got two topics to talk about. We will conclude our discussions and coverage of the Sony and Kadokawa situation just today. I was going to talk about other things relating to it, but just today it reached its conclusion. So we can actually put a stamp on this and say, here we go. And we'll give you our thoughts on it and why I personally think people are overreacting. Just my thought. It could be a hot take. You could be angry. I don't care. And then we're going to make Dermy cry a little bit, which I know you're all for, where there's a collaboration between Sunset and the studio, and we'll just say Gundam and Evangelion had a baby, and I don't think Dermy's gonna like it.
Two very different I'm gonna give you the warm up, okay? Two very different brands of mecha style and storytelling come together with an incestuous nightmare child.
Dermy, I thought Evas were mecha.
They are mechas, but this is an incestuous
They're
nightmare
biomecha.
child.
They're biomecha.
This is we'll save it because my God,
all right, we're gonna say that's there. Anyway, so again, hail howdy to the chat. And you know, we could do this. We could do this. Be fun. It might be fun, sleazy. Then Dermy's gonna fear for his life.
I knew the Death Star demons are real. I knew it.
Anyway, all right. So this was my choice this month. Heavy Object. It's basically taking place at an undisclosed point in humanity's future where wars have changed. It's gone from nations and competing for single little bits territory by national standards, where there was a technological revolution of something called an object, which basically is a giant war machine, mecha of sorts, that basically made all other forms of combat irrelevant. And
nuclear.
Yeah, even nuclear. I mean, everything's relevant because these things are nigh indestructible except to each other. And even then, they don't completely usually blow up. They get damaged, and it's all wars and conflicts are settled over object versus object, and the world has been broken down into essentially 4 groups that control different hemispheres of the world. And that's it. And the whole premise is that what happens in this one, what happens in the beginning of the series is that 2 unlikely heroes get thrust into an impossible situation where they have to help their object, the pilot and their object of their nation, legitimate kingdom, defeat another object. And by claiming an impossible victory, by having 2 tiny little humans somehow affect the battle and change the course of it, that suddenly turns the entire world on its head. And the simple conflict of object versus object suddenly changes, and what was once possibly an easy way to deal with warfare once again dips into ugly, bloody conflict, where in many times as we go further in the series, the civilians are suddenly once more nothing but acceptable losses in certain instincts. And you get a nice little look into government politics. Religion gets in this little bit, even stuff like pacifism towards the end, a small little pacifism, a very interesting thing about the guru at the end. So, Jeremy, this was your first time watching it. This was out in 2016, 2017?
2015.
2015. Okay. I was watching it in 2016, end of 2015 into 2016.
Only reason I know that is because at the end they teased more coming and there was no more. So I was like,
yeah, they didn't. They didn't. It obviously was not massively successful. But this was my second time watching it all the way through. I watched it during its premiere. And this was my second watching it. I had forgotten some stuff, but it pretty much held to what I remembered. And I still give it a B+ for fan service. It's fan service is all about the jiggle physics and the graver poses. Because I gotta tell you, Felicia, whatever her name is, she's my kind of waifu material. She is stacked. She's strong, and she will give me a son. She will give me a son.
You heard that here, guys. Adam likes the dominatrix.
She didn't dominate me. Hey, listen. When what's his name? I just forgot his name because I was struggling.
The main character, like Garth or something like that.
Listen. When he went up behind her during that video call with the potential suitor and grabbed 2 mighty handfuls, she melted like an ice cream cone. Okay? He just Quinter. That's it. Quinter. When Quinter went to the land of milk and honey,
I like the princess, even though
you like Melinda.
Yeah, I like.
There's nothing wrong with Melinda. She's the sweet girl. It's just she's
the sweet, nice girl. She's just
Felicia. She's like. First of all, she's
what?
The anime girl that does it for me. Silver hair, giant.
You want to know what? No, I'm gonna do this. Okay, because all in all, I'm about 75-25. Like, I'm mostly positive on this anime.
Yeah, it's got its flaws.
I'm gonna point out one fucking flaw. If we're talking fan service right now, I'm pointing out a fucking flaw.
Okay, what?
The show promised me G titties.
It
promised me.
It got you with the lolly.
Okay, so there's this character.
I knew you were gonna go. I knew you were gonna have a thing about this when they did the lolly reveal. When they did the lolly reveal, the ho ho ho.
I'm pissed. So, for those of you unaware, there's a character through all of part 1 and basically a quarter of the way through part 2.
The pilot of the Intelligence Union's heavy object codename Rush.
Yeah, she is promised and rumored to have G-cup titties. And they show pictures of her with G-cup titties. Tall, slender body with G-cup titties. I hated her as a character because of the.
Oh, she's horrible. You want to murder her? I hate you.
I wanted to
despise her. Yeah.
I wanted to do heinous things to her to make her to stop doing that.
Yeah,
okay? But
she's terrible.
I'm promised G-cups. Okay, I'm promised G-cups. The main character finds a way to sneak into her object when it's mid-combat, and the ultimate reveal is so.
She's a lolly. She's a full-on lolly.
G-cups were a lie. I felt the same way as the main character. You lied to me. You cheated me out to the good. Evil.
I know. I
have
knew you were
never
going to have
been
a meltdown of the
so-
lolly.
I've never been so angry in my life.
She
I don't
even,
care.
when she's taunting before the reveal, she's even saying, I will put you up against my G-cup boobs and you're going to love me. She even says it. And then it's a lie.
I don't care. Like, there's a whole argument about lollies. I don't like the sexualized lollies. I don't mind normal lollies. Don't do this to me. This is bait and switch, evil, disgusting nonsense where I'm like, yeah, let me see the titties. And the next thing I know,
Legatus is a normie. He doesn't know.
I'll do the nice thing, okay? Lollies are small, petite, framed individuals that usually have a little bit more younger features about them. They could be 75 million-year-old vampire witches, or in other instances, and the people that, like the more porn variety of them, those people are fucked in the head. I like the normal, everyday ones, because everybody likes a cute character here or there.
Yeah. There's nothing. The difference is we're not talking small-breasted. We're not talking like A cups. We're talking they look like a child.
Yes.
Even if they are a hag, they look like a child.
Sleazy says that they kind of look from 20-year-old Asian women to children. As long as they are not sexualized, I don't have a problem with it. The moment they start getting sexualized is where I start, you know what, bad.
Yeah. And
so
this was a full-on lolly, though. Full-on lolly, because it's a bait and switch. Full-on lolly.
And I hated it.
Yeah, I knew you would. I'd forgotten it. I'd totally forgotten that there was the bait and switch coming. I had forgotten. Then again, like I said, for Alicia, she's my waifu in this one. For me, she's best girl because she's got everything, and I love it. And she's of age, so I don't feel dirty. But all right, so
I feel dirty with the one I like because she's.
Well, Melinda has tits.
She's a sweetheart. That's what I like about her.
She's of age. And she has a body. She's fine. Anyway, so you said you're about 75% on this. So how do you feel overall before we go into some of the nitty gritty on this? How do you feel about this?
There's parts of it I do really like, and I like some of the concepts because you kind of blue balled everybody when you said like two unnormal people changed the tide of war. It's about two everyday people finding ways to destroy objects. These weapons that famously could only be destroyed by other objects. They're finding ways to destroy it themselves without objects. That was actually kind of an interesting thing. I kind of visualized it as an everyday human kind of, or somebody that actually like understands, combat a little bit and something about mechanics, going up to, let's say, a Gundam, and without another Gundam, without using another Gundam, just destroying it with their bare hands or things of that nature. I did like that idea. Kind of, I thought that was cool. One's a mechanics student. The other one is
he's a rich boy who's in the military trying to gain clout to take over his rich boy.
He's a noble, and he's a part of, I think, the Air Force radar people. I think that's what he said he was.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and but the way they actually view what I did find interesting is how they viewed combat. Other than, kind of being a little cocky here or there, and I kind of like that little bit about them when they're like, yeah, we got this under control, and on the radio kind of playing themselves up. What I did like is how they viewed the battlefield, because there is a moment in which
it's a horror.
But not just that, but Quinter says like, my partner views the battlefield as nothing more than objects on the field to be positioned. And I kind of like that because it views more of the tactical nature of war versus the overt battle itself and the over the top action. So you start thinking, where do you position your parts? And that's something that war doesn't really, we don't normally get into in some war anime and stuff like that. It's something that not Evangelion, but Code Geass does focus in on, is positioning your troops, figuring this stuff out, the more strategic variants of it. The parts that I didn't like, other than not having a season 2, is there's moments where it just drags on. It kind of becomes rinse, repeat. I can figure out what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, it's this. Listen, it's the entire season is divided up into 2 to 3 episode arcs, where it's the baby Magnum, our protagonist heavy object, going up against opponent objects, or in some cases, just proto objects or something like that. And it's
Mhm.
all it's basically how's Quinther going to figure out a trick this time?
Mhm.
It's the
And
same pattern every time.
another thing is
Leading up to
Mhm.
what the final conflict is, now he has to beat the baby Magnum, which I
Yes.
find interesting. I found that interesting. It comes full circle.
I did like that, but so another thing is, like, when it comes to objects, there's different variations of objects. So,
Mm.
Baby Magnum, for instance, is an all-purpose Gen 1 object, when all the other objects are primarily Generation 2 objects, which are more
Specialized for environments.
specialized for environments, things of that nature. Uh, and they're deemed to be stronger, but I don't really see how they could be stronger if
I
they're
think
more
it's because of
limited in
some of the
nature.
armaments. It's some of the armaments, like the one that they I watched this last week, so I'm a little fuzzy on some of the object names. The Legitimate Kingdom rebellious one with the double plasma cannon on it
Oh,
that
yeah.
has the 7 fake objects with it.
Yeah.
That thing was pretty damn nasty and powerful with
Mhm.
its double plasma cannons. So I
And
think it's all
especially
about
how they
yeah.
manipulated it to make it
Mhm.
even stronger. Basically
Yeah,
dropping
that
like, stronger nukes everywhere.
chemical fog that would ignite when it fired.
Mhm.
So I think each one is deemed stronger because of the more powerful weapons or the environment. Because a lot of those times, the baby Magnum isn't supposed to win against them because of the superior environment, but Quinther keeps coming up with because he's essentially a designer slash mechanic or a student who
Mhm.
has designs on it, but he's been I don't want to say he's a genius, but he's very high IQ for the field because he's able to think outside the box on these things. He's a very good student of his purpose, I guess one could say. And he figures out always that little bit of extra thing that the people who made it overlook as insignificant, but he says, "Oh, I can turn this into something." Like with the very first one they fight, where the joints can get what was the first one was where he replaced the
He replaced
yeah
he figured out which was gonna be the next, turbine that needed to get replaced, and
yeah
before he put bombs in there, and then also he took out the sensor node
that allowed it to overload yeah
that would allow it to overload and not, self-destruct, essentially.
yeah, and then it basically collapsed under its own weight. He did the same thing for the try one on the water
Well, on
where
the
he
tr
made it.
the so the try one on the water, what he utilized, honestly, it was that steel net filled with all the mines.
Mhm.
He had that get wrapped around the other end, and then he collapsed it.
Well, that was a lucky thing. He
Yeah,
discovered
that
that
was
when he was
pure
being
luck.
dragged, being dragged under the
Mhm,
water, and he saw it. But then he used that as part of his strategy. And
mhm.
so he always found one little thing, or the flaw in the whole thing, like, oh, they are facing a half gen, or these are fakes and they're not strong, and
Or
that means
honestly, even though I hated the reveal of the lolly, how he beat the rush was actually
with the
pretty
AI,
damn cool.
basically the AI conundrum idea
Mhm,
basically got it locked into a infinite loop, kind of
mhm.
like for those who are Star Trek fans, kind of like what they wanted to do to Hugh to go back to Collective, put it in an infinite loop that's basically is a paradox of itself, and they can never get an answer and it shut down, and therefore Juliet was locked into an infinite repair situation, couldn't get it done. So that was good, but I do like, and I want your opinion on this, with the exception of I think 3 times. The pilots of objects, with the exception of Melinda, the princess, ho ho ho, the rebellious dude, you never see a pilot of another object.
You also see a fourth one, which was the guy that wanted to marry.
That doesn't count. I'm talking about people
Mhm.
they fought against. I'm talking about opponents of the baby Magnum. He doesn't count to me because he never even got
Yeah,
into the fight.
you never
Yeah.
saw any of the other.
You never see another pilot. And I want your opinion on it. Does that make it interesting that our two little humans and Melinda and the baby Magnum are fighting these essentially faceless monstrosities? Does that make it interesting to you that there's not that as opposed to to put into perspective for you, as opposed to two Gundam pilots or two mobile suit pilots in the Gundam universe, where there's essentially when it's a real showdown, you know who both these pilots are. They usually know each other to some extent, or they're aware of each other, and there's some sort of back and forth. Where in this case, there's never back with that sort of ho
Ye-
ho ho. There's no backs and forths.
You know, when it's the first two, it's interesting, but after a while, I do feel like you need
You needed
to
something.
you needed something. Like what I really liked, and he's not a pilot, but the evil designer.
Honeysuckle,
Yeah,
whatever.
Honeysuckle.
Coxer,
It
yeah.
was his
Yeah,
code name or something.
yeah.
I liked Honeysuckle because he doesn't show up until like the third part of their little
Mhm,
exchange. But what Honeysuckle kind of represented was not just the counterpart to Quinther,
mhm,
but he did feel like this person that's been watching them that knows something. They had back and forth a little bit. And I think after a little while, you need that back and forth so you can understand some of these more dynamics that are going on and some of the
mhm,
growth that's happening. Another example is when they were doing the whole diamond arc, the diamond mind arc.
mhm.
I
That
still, don't-
was interesting.
yeah, and you had the not the spy, but the one of the
The
rebellious
yeah, yeah, the traitor.
Yeah, you had the traitor there, so you threw that into the mix, and it's like, okay, so now we have back and forth here. We have trying to outthink our own sides and stuff, and you have ho ho ho. But outside of that, you don't know anybody else. And on that point, it also goes to, and I'm jumping ahead, I know, to the guru when
Mhm.
he says, "Have you ever tried to save any of the other pilots?" And it's like, wait,
What?
but I thought they escape. I thought they
Most
have
of the time.
ejection. I thought
Most
they
of
have
the time.
ejection stuff. I didn't even know people were like outside of maybe the dictator and the rebellious guy. I didn't even know people were dying in these things because you never knew who they were.
I
Like
thought
another
yeah,
example is
yeah.
the guy that wanted to marry the one chick.
Mhm. He lived.
He lived. Why? How is everybody else dying but he survives? I don't get this.
I think that the guru is a rushed perspective at the very end of the show. Let's introduce the pacifist. Let's
Mhm.
introduce the guy who doesn't want conflict. And while he presents an interesting perspective with only 2 episodes to go and he's barely in it, I think it was a rush perspective, especially if they didn't do another season. Now, I honestly forgot to check if there's source material on this beyond what we have. I don't know how long this maybe went in a light novel or a manga, but at with this essentially it's a self-contained season. Is that fair to say?
Mhm. Yeah.
Everything is kind of
It is relatively self-contained until the last 2 episodes when they start hinting at a list and all this other stuff, like there's more
mhm,
going on than what the one meets the eye, and that's kinda when
yeah,
I started getting more interested in, like, this government conspiracy and kind of a shadow government that's trying to do
mhm.
some stuff. That's when I was really starting to get grabbed, but then there's nothing else, so
Yeah, there's at least no anime version. There may be a manga, there may be light novels.
Mhm.
I'm sure somebody in the chat may or may not know this, but for the most part, it's self-contained. So I can watch this and I can be okay with most of it. But as I just said, you get a guy like the guru at the end, introduced at the last second to introduce a new perspective, and it feels stooped in there. It's like, okay, you're there to make a little bit of a sexual joke with Felicia at the end there, and okay, fine, let's get you to safety. I mean, I found it unique where they introduce him, his place in all this, where if he isn't protected, it could start a world war
Mhm.
because he's some sort of hot potato that nobody really wants responsibility for, but everybody wants to both kill him and not kill him.
It was
It's
this thing in which it is hot potato, like,
you know,
everybody kinda idolizes him in a weird way. So they like him being around, but they know that he jumps back and forth. I didn't really understand the whole
well,
dynamic. It's like
what
it's
it
a
is that
prisoner exchange, but he's not a prisoner, and people like him, but people hate
he's
him. And I
they
just
they hate him because his philosophy could change the world, and those who control like things the way they are, and therefore you just keep him in his nice gilded cage. He gets to talk to a few people here and there. He's treated well, and he's always used as the primary thing in a prisoner exchange where people can actually get back their own people, and it's basically somebody else's turn, and he's the prisoner that somebody can always exchange. So again, he's an interesting prospect, but for introduced very at the very end with no future, at least animated movement of it, I felt it was a little too much. And I mean, if it's part of the natural progression of the story, then it's fine to have him there, but we didn't go forward with it.
Mhm.
And his whole influence on Quinther beyond Quinther's desire to make sure he saves Melinda and doesn't get anybody else hurt in that final battle, we don't know beyond that. So but otherwise, to bring it back to the show as a whole, I like its. I think the show does a very good job of world building. You understand what all the major powers are, what their motivations are, and how they react to the situations. Granted, you get very little interaction with, I think, the corporate one that's in control of Japan and Asia. You don't get much of them. They get referenced a lot, but they're on the periphery. They might have come into play more later on, but they didn't.
Yeah, there's well, no, you know about the religious one.
Yeah, who they come into contact with, or that's the first opponent.
That's the very first one. You know about the intelligence one, and I guess there was that.
And Legitimate Kingdom. There's
that. There's the fourth one where they mention a few times. That was the one that the terrorist was trying to go and kill. And that we do find out that they run nothing more than like mercenary kind of group for the military, but outside of that, you don't really know it. I will say this, okay? This is my other criticism of the show. You want me to believe that America doesn't have a fuck ton of these objects, really?
Well, Legitimate Kingdom, I think, is America.
Is European, and it's based in French dialect.
Oh, you're right.
So you want me to believe that the Legitimate Kingdom that owns America now, which is like French or Dutch,
they had
conquered America.
That's why I said distant future. I tried not to think too hard on who owns what. All I know is that I would exist in the country with Fralatia, and therefore I'd have a chance. So
I'm gonna take this to another perspective real quick. Like in Code Geass, Britannia is like Canada,
America,
Mexico, and America. Also like Britain.
And America.
Yeah, well, America, like it's all North America and parts of Europe. The reason, and they never tell you this in the anime, you have to read the manga. It's because the founding fathers failed in the rebellion, so Britain just kept hold. Like that makes logical sense. That's in an alternate universe where something makes sense for why America got conquered and became this thing, and that works. Here, as an American, I kind of give me the reason why America's not, this leader, okay? Tell me why the French conquered our asses.
I don't know if they essentially conquered us. It's just kind of everything merged in certain ways in this world. And I don't know.
I found it hard to believe that America didn't have like 50 different objects.
Well, objects are expensive to make, and from what I can gather, each faction has maybe 3 at max 4, and by the end of this, Legitimate Kingdom only has the Baby Magnum left because they lost the Rabbit one during the conflict with the Half Gen in South America. They lost because that was the suitor. He was piloting that bunny type one, the Light Hopper or whatever it was called.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He was in that one. The Rebellion one, that was one of theirs, turned on them. Then they lost the other one when they lost
their water-based one, and then they lost the Snow Sled.
Yeah, so
they had
like
5 at one point.
Yeah, they had 5.
Yeah, and now they're down to 1.
And now
they might have 2.
They don't even have the Baby Magnum because Quinther blew it to all hell at the end there. When he puts all the reactive stuff into the main guns and the whole thing blows up.
So it only blew up the guns. It didn't blow up everything else. So it is repairable.
But
it's going to cost a lot to repair it.
They still only have the Baby Magnum left.
They might have 2 because I think the Snow Sled, which was the one that was helping out with the Baby Magnum, go up against the rebellious one. That one I think could be salvaged. So I don't know, but the one that was on the ocean, that's gone. The one
Yeah.
that was in South America, that's gone. So
Yeah, the light hopper, that one was gone too. And let's be honest, the other ones all lost their major ones too throughout the entire thing. They basically throughout this, I guess, several month period that this show takes place over, all the major powers lose a lot of their objects that
Mhm.
we're controlling, in which I guess might lead to the future of the story of that the warfare was changing again, because that was one of the things. The powers that be hated the fact that Quinther was changing things. They liked it. They had their simple swap of this. No one really, only maybe a few insignificant people lost lives here and there, and the nobles or the important people in each faction got to retain their power. But suddenly, there's a change in strategy which can lead to embarrassment and loss of power. Because if you don't control an object, then, well, originally, if you controlled objects, that meant win. But now suddenly, little dudes are, because one of the lines is that after Quinther becomes famous, all the other nations or all the other powers began implementing their own infantry, for lack of a better term, response, individual unit
Mhm.
responses to objects, and with varying success in a way. I mean, look at the we first thought they were part of the corporate one, but they're actually the intelligence union, the bunny chicks, who were the maid outfit, who were
Mhm.
who thought pretending to be mercs, so they actually intelligence union operation. They were that. They
Mhm.
were the equivalent of Quinther, and through their efforts, they beat the double plasma one. So I really do. I find it interesting how we go into the premise of this. We're going to have giant mechs fighting it out, and in the end, humans are still the ones now deciding this. Now,
Mhm.
one of my criticisms of this, having watched it a second time now all the way through, man, they do kind of short changes on the giant mech battles, don't they? They kind of short changes a little bit.
Yeah,
I wanted more.
because I'd say this is a pseudo mech
Yeah.
anime.
Hmm.
There's not really outside of
3 times, maybe a couple ones here and there.
outside of two. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say it's about no 2.5 because the baby Magnum going wild. Uh, you have the two battles with the Rush. So
Hmm.
first battle, second battle, and the second battle is like my point five. That's when the baby Magnum's gone crazy, and then the battle with the rebellious dude.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I'll say actually 3.5 because I forgot also going up against the Trident.
Hmm.
Outside of that, there really hasn't been many.
Yeah, it was. I know. I build it as a mecha show because it is, but I thought I remembered it being a little more mech combat heavy, and in fact, it wasn't. But that's part of the story, that the world which was dominated by this stuff is now shifting again. So I understand why they die, why the show continues to have the humans do stuff, and I gotta say, even when the mechs aren't there, to me at times I'm still engaged, because you brought up before, when they're dealing with, when you thought it when you're dealing with the right before the rebellion arc, where they thought they're going into the diamond mines and this and that, and you get introduced to a whole new little pack of characters. You thought for a second, oh, Quinther's going to have a unit now. He's going to be
Mhm.
running with these guys, and they all essentially get killed. Except
Oh,
and so, but
that
with the one,
actually
go ahead, no, go ahead, go ahead.
that actually is part of my problem with this
Hmm.
is they introduce roughly all these new characters and it's like, oh wow, we're gonna have new dynamics, we're gonna have new things to
Nope.
bounce off of and stuff, and it's like, oh no, the only one that actually sticks around is the lady in black.
Yeah, and that's only she can join Quinther's harem.
Yeah.
Man, that dude gets a lot of play. He, he,
Yeah.
he he's got Melinda, who's hot for him, but won't admit it. Security chick in black, she's into him. The head of the bunny mercenary squad from the, or not bunny mercenary squad, but the intelligence union squad, she's into him. And whether she
A
admits it or
lolly.
not, for the lolly's into him, and Felicia's into him too. She is. So Quinther's got a harem, and I do respect. For the most part, that's a good harem. I
Mhm.
mean, I would even wager for half a second the dark skinned silver haired chick who's in charge of Ho Ho Lolly. For a second, she's into him too. For a second, and she's quality as well. So there's a lot of quality in Quinther's harem, would-be harem. And you know what? And here's one of the things I do like about the show. Both Quinther and his buddy, whose name I can't remember, they are unapologetically horny. And I really do appreciate it when we don't get the aw shucks, I can't look at a girl without a nosebleed situation thrown away. I like it when our male protagonists are unapologetically horny and appreciate beautiful women. I love it. And I love the whole gag where they had their porn stash and they're trading it and they get busted.
Yeah. That's another example of you just had a moment to introduce new characters there that we could identify with and maybe connect with and have interesting stories with, and you didn't.
The girls who busted them.
Yeah, it's like this could have been a running gag. This could have been something cool. I mean, I do like the granny. Granny's a pretty cool character, and she's reoccurring.
And she got a mini arc
during the rebellion.
The rebellion, and it's a good arc. It's a solid arc.
Yeah, that was really good. Because
what it does is they managed to get in a well put story of immigration, and how even if they can't, and how these groups who came legally as refugees to a legitimate kingdom, they're still treated as second-class citizens and thought of as disposable, because the legitimate kingdom was ready to let them all die in that city.
They were ready to just destroy them all. And that's actually, you know what? That's a good idea. Western audiences and Western creators could learn something about that, because that's how you do this whole storytelling aspect with some of these more modern issues that people like to bring up. But no, no, they can't. They can't have creative storytelling and interesting ways to go about it.
No. All right, let's go over the character a bit. What do you think of Quinther as a hero?
He's one of. I'll say he's actually one of my more favorite style of heroes, where he's the unlikely hero. He's kind of the underdog, and he's using his intellect versus his brawn to actually win. And I kind of like that in some of my heroes. We all have our brawn heroes, and but there's something always about the underdog who's thinking his way out that I find somewhat more appealing.
Yeah, Quinther, and he's likable because his moral standings, I think, make him likable, because he looks at humanity and just sees humanity, doesn't see borders, sees people. And at the same time, while he understands how deadly and destructive and terrible an object can be, he sees the beauty in it. And he sees the grace in it, the design, and this and that. And I appreciate the complexity of his character. And he likes
boobies.
He likes the titties. And the moment, and I had forgotten this happened, like I said, the moment in his moment of honorable protection of Fralacia, when he just goes behind her and takes control and grabs the wheels, that dude, good job, young man. Good job. I mean, that was great. I loved it. Because it goes back to be all serious, it's unapologetic. One of the things I don't like about a lot of series is when your male protagonist, whether he is a teenager or in his 20s, gets flustered around the girls. Oh my God, titties. What can I do? Oh, I can't look. You're in a towel. No, Quinther is trying to see it. And when Fralacia puts together the temporary shower on the cargo plane, they're trying to peep, and she knows it. And for a second, she lets Quinther do it until she ties it up and puts the tape over it. And they want it, and I appreciate, because it's men being men. And we should not, I know it's a gag most of the time, but we should get more protagonists that are not shying away from being a little bit lecherous.
Because you know what? I was just starting to think about this when he grabs what's her name's handful of boobs.
Yeah,
there is actually growth in him in that scene, because if you go back to, I want to say it's the first episode, he accidentally fucked up the belts on Melinda, and it was squeezing her, and she was struggling,
popping out.
Popping out. But he didn't want to grab her because they're her tits. He didn't want to. He didn't want to touch them, and it's not because he didn't like them.
Yeah.
He didn't want to come off as a perv.
Yeah.
and she almost kind of died because of that.
Yeah, she was
So,
she was asphyxiating because of his fuck up.
Yeah.
She was dying.
yeah. So then you jump forward to him just being willing to grab the boobs in order to save somebody. There is some character growth there, even if
Yeah.
it's more pervy growth.
Now, and then one of the for Felicia now, who I said I love her as a character, not only because I find her supremely attractive, but also because she is also a complicated character and a strong woman done well. Because once again, anime shows you how to do strong female characters. She's earned her rank, but she wants to be successful through merit, not just
Mhm.
because she's a woman who genetically, because of her family line, will produce a male heir every time. I mean, I find that well orchestrated, and also even after that moment, when we're talking about the handful moment, she actually reveals that well, we already know she's 18 from the start of the show. She's very young, and she's achieved a lot in her in her
Mhm.
career at that young age. And she says repeatedly, "I want to have a full career." And it's my only way to escape the gilded cage of the nobility. But right at that moment, she says, after that moment, she basically reveals, "I'm not a slut. I may take advantage of looking sexy, but she basically says, I'm not a slut, and I don't really like it that everybody thinks I'm a slut now. I don't
Mhm.
like that." And that's good character growth, even though she takes advantage, and the show takes advantage of putting her. I mean, dude,
She does a stripper dance
she
on
does a
a
strip.
pole.
And during the pool scene where they're shooting pool, she takes the most provocative angles to get those
And
shots.
during
And
workout.
and during a workout, oh, I remember the first episode workout. It was just good the second time. It's fantastic. And then later on, and we're not later on throughout the entire show, at least every other scene she's in, there's always an ass shot.
Mhm.
Even when there doesn't need to be, there's a shot of her curves. Or you're looking up when she's all wet in the shirt and the boobs, and there's a little nipple there. She is a sexual object, but it's done with it's good fan service. That's why I call it B plus, because there's no full on skin, not even an ass shot. That's why it's B plus. Didn't get into the A range, but it's high quality B plus, and I love every minute of it. But it's a it's a well done, well constructed character. She's got layers, and she wants to be respected. And I think from that interaction with Quinther, you see that she doesn't rule out love one day, but in the role of the nobles, it's not going to exist for her because she's just a baby
Re-
machine.
Real quick,
Mhm.
Legatus, he posted a link in my chat. I'm gonna pull this up
Oh well, while
because
you
I
do
don't.
that, I'm gonna pull
No,
this
no,
one.
I don't think. This goes to my rant. Okay, this goes to my goddamn
Oh
rant.
oh oh G oh yeah
This is
yeah
G cups. Okay,
yeah
okay, Legatus. This is G cups. Okay, look at this gorgeousness. Guess what? It's a lolly and it's all fake.
yeah. But you know it isn't fake. This right here, because this is currently, because it's Christmas. This is my wallpaper right now, and I love it. That's not fake.
No, that was a good moment. And
That's a
there's
good splash
Melinda.
page. I really do like the splash pages, but
Mhm.
at the middle episode, they're really good. And when I saw this, I thought, oh, a Christmas background. I was looking for a new one. Yay! Because during Christmas, normally I leave my wallpaper up for an entire month, but during Christmas, since I have so many of those, I alternate every week. And I was so happy to find this. I was like, oh, yay. Ah, yeah, she's a waifu material for me. Anyway, but yeah, sh- good constructed, and even Melinda as the nice girl. I know she's your best girl in this one.
Mhm.
She's done very well, very layered. Even though she is a little one note with her repressed feelings for Quinther, where she doesn't come out and say it and kind of
Well, they both.
overreact. Oh, the overreaction to every time
So
someone else flirts with him.
yeah, she. Well, part of that's also Quinther being kind of airheaded and not realizing
Mhm,
that because he obviously has some feelings for her,
mhm.
and he
I
doesn't
think
know
he's
how
all
to.
over the place. He's all over the
I
place with his
think he
feelings.
does have feelings for her because that's part of the dynamic. It's one of those things, kind of like
Mhm.
Deku and what's her name?
Ochako,
The yeah, Mochaku. 'Cause it's
Ochako,
kind of like that. Mocha. Yeah, it's kind of like
Ochako.
that.
Say it
Whatever.
right.
I'm not gonna be a gravity bitch. Okay. They like each other,
Yeah.
obviously. But Deku gets so into like what he knows, like superpowers, things like
Well,
that.
also look at the
Kinda-
world as it is
Mhm.
right there. There's not a lot of room for love in that
Yeah.
story.
But then you take a look at like Quinter here. He's kind of doing similar things where
Mhm.
he does have feelings for Melinda. It's
Yeah.
kind of obvious.
I think he
but
also has feelings for Felicia too. I think he has feelings for her too.
I think he probably does have some.
Besides
feelings.
lust,
I don't know.
genuine.
I
There's
don't.
lust. There's definite lust.
I don't know if it's well, obviously lust.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like love feelings or like maybe love as the older sister or maybe like as a best friend. I don't know if it's the same
I
level
think
as
he wants to. I think he wants to dive in. I think he
well,
definitely.
we
wants to
already
dive
know
in.
he wants to dive in. I'm more talking like
Yeah.
like the
Yeah,
emotional
I
side.
know.
When it comes to Melinda, he has
There's something there. There's a
There's
chance.
something actually
Yeah.
there that I think I would like to blossom. And
Well,
it's especially
that's
with
the end game for this. That's obviously the end game.
well, it's also like with the Air Force dude.
the other dude. Yeah, he's got a
He's
fiance.
he's
Oh, he's
lustful
horny.
all over the place, and he wants those ladies to step on him day in and day out.
Oh, he has a
But
thing. He definitely he has
Mhm.
a what's it called? He has a what's the fucking thing we call
dominate.
it? No, he
submissive.
dominates it. He's got a
He has a kink.
kink. Thank you. That's what it was. Kink. He's definitely got a kink. But I love it how he always refers to Felicia a different comment about her boobs every time he talks to her, like Captain Knockers or Big Jiggly, whatever. He always has some catchphrase for her. Go ahead.
But there's a thing that, like, when we are seeing like his fiance for the first time, his fiance does say, "Make this boy a war hero, not criminal. Make him a war hero ready." And she's kind of bossy here or there, but they do have this little moment at the end of the episode where they say that they're kind of like Romeo and Juliet. They come from two warring houses that don't like each other, but both of them objectively do like each other, even if they don't show it throughout that episode.
Yeah, and they want to change things. They both want to upend everything. And real quick, To Love Ru is the king of fan service harem anime. It is the king.
It sounds like something you're gonna make me watch.
Oh no, we can't. No. They're right. Season 1 was tame, and then the gobbledygook of the follow season, because it gets real messy with the rest of the seasons. It's titty everywhere.
Here's the question.
Everywhere.
High School DxD.
High School D&D. This is bigger.
You mean the anime that's basically just I'm not even want to call it softcore porn. It's just hentai the entire time.
All right.
Worse than that.
Okay, all right. Here, our hero the protagonist To Love Ru represses his sexual desires so much that he randomly cannot control himself from tripping, and every time he does, he fondles girls, or or pops their clothes off in various ways, and they all want him for it. And at one point, the little sister of the main girl protagonist who wants to marry him because he won something like this, she has a plan called the harem plan, and he even gets to see their MILF mom naked at one point. To Love Ru is glorious, and unfortunately, the anime cut short before the manga finished. And so, if you want, you have to read the manga to get all the way to the end there. But it's glorious. To Love Ru is a masterpiece of harem. It is a masterpiece. I recommend it to all gooners.
You hear that, Cloud? If you're out there, watch it. Sounds like Food Wars, LOL.
Food Wars is we've done season 1 of Food Wars. We'll go back to it eventually with season 2.
Season 1.
You were here.
No.
I've
not. I've only seen the only bits of Food Wars I've seen was what was on Netflix, and it turns out that's like the second half of their tournament arc, and I was like,
"Oh,
I don't know what the hell's going on."
Oh, Food Wars
you're meat. You're like Meat Clip.
That's from Food Wars. That's Food Wars.
Yeah, that's before when I saw it. I was like,
that's season 2. No, that's season 2. Food Wars is it's also B+ fan service because you never actually see nipple, but everything is sexualized in that show. Every orgasmic love for food where it bursts your clothes off. I mean, Food Wars is great. Here's your homework. You have to watch season 1 so we can jump to reviewing season 2, because I can't go back and redo season 1 because it is in the logs. I didn't delete it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why I never thought to do this before.
What?
I hooked my laptop up to my bedroom TV because I like to when I like to watch and enjoy shows. I like
Oh,
to do it in
so
the
you
bedroom.
finally hooked up the HDMI cable to HDMI cable?
Yeah,
You're a retard. I was doing that 10
I
years
did it.
ago.
It never even clicked my head that hey,
When
if I want to watch anime, because I always do it on my computer. It's like, but I want to be in my comfy zone and like enjoying
plug
myself.
it
And then it
in,
just
yeah.
dawned, wait, why the fuck have I not been doing this?
Yep, I was doing that years ago when
So
I had a
that's how I
laptop.
watched this whole show in like a day and a
Comfort.
half. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Wow, it was
I
pretty
was in my
easy, huh? Yeah,
was
pretty
in
easy,
my
isn't it? Yeah.
because I like being over here, but my comfort zone's
See, my
my
chair is comfortable, so I'm okay watching all my anime in this chair. I'm
when
very
I'm
fine
ready
with
to
it.
when I'm in like comfort mode and wanting
Mhm,
to actually enjoy something, I like to put my feet up, and I don't have something in here to do that.
mhm. Yeah.
So
So you need to you have some homework. Season 1's only 12 episodes, so it's not a big slog. Season 2 where it starts to expand. So you should watch it so we can do season 2 because I thought you were there for season 1. Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
sleazy.
Hmm.
I'm retarded. Frank, I'm retarded. Okay.
All right. I think we've done a pretty decent discussion here.
Oh Jesus Christ, Alpha.
Uh, wow. That's he doesn't usually talk like that.
No, he doesn't.
No.
that one made me break. Jesus Christ.
All right. I guess the villains. How do you feel about the villains? I think the villains are pretty much one note in this. It's one of the failings. They're not
There's like two
unique.
villains, really.
Yeah.
There's the government, and then the guy who's obviously working like the shadow government.
Honeysuckle. Honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle and that government dude. That's
And
really
well,
your only
the
villains.
one they busted, and then he's the guy who's the hacker at the end, who sets up Baby Magnum and Melinda.
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah,
he's the government guy.
yeah,
That's pretty much all your villains because the
yeah.
only other villain is your
The
rebellion
traitor
dude.
who murdered everybody, but then that is a cool way when they fight him in that power suit,
Mhm.
and Quinther uses the diamonds to kill him. And what I find interesting is that it's good show don't tell. Quinther doesn't need to go inside and look inside to see the diamonds have eviscerated that dude.
Mhm. You just know it.
You know it, and that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good show don't tell.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the main villains aren't even really there, and they're kind of one noted.
Mhm.
The only one that I actually did enjoy was Honeysuckle.
Mhm.
But that's because again, it's your counter to Quinther.
Yeah.
He's the exact opposite, and he views the world very similarly to Quinther, but he views it in a more negative tone and is
Mhm.
kind of he's using his abilities for evil.
Mhm.
So,
All right, so we spent about an hour on this. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to add? Because it's a pretty one note show. It's a simple show.
Mhm.
It's easy to digest. Nothing complicated. Uses a lot of common themes of war and humanity and all that kind of stuff.
I have one last thing to add. One
Okay.
last thing. Okay.
All right.
If you ever give me a show that trades G cups for lollies, I'm gonna hurt you.
I had forgotten that happened. Okay, I had forgotten. I saw this once.
That was a war crime.
Well, yeah, but there was plenty of jiggle throughout this show.
6 million lives won't make this one go away.
Shut up. Shut up. Okay, so I recommend the show if you want a nice, easy, self-contained watch. It's a fun little watch. Really, honestly, it's good for a single watch though. If I hadn't given this to you, I probably never would have watched it again.
And if it wasn't, I'd say like if you want to watch it. The fact that there's no season 2 with like some of the stuff they started setting up, that does kind of blue ball me. And it's like right at the end, you were starting to get something that I think I could have really dived into because I like the idea of a shadow government.
And I will say, this remains a soft spot because, like I said, as far as waifu goes, I really do like Felicia as a waifu. She's a good, strong, sexy woman that fits in there, that can hold her own, and her bitch persona is a professional bitch persona. She's actually not a bitch. She's actually
not even like her.
And
her
she cares about
persona,
her men.
Her
hard
persona
ass
isn't real. It's more of a hard ass because she just
Yeah.
really cares about her men and want them to do good.
Yeah. So
and when they fuck up, she chews them out.
Yeah, so she goes up there. She's in my waifu category for physical reasons and character reasons because she hits all the right notes for me. Okay, there we go. Let's close the book on that one. Now I want to ask you
shampoo level. I don't know.
I actually never really spent a lot of time with Ranma, so I can't really answer that. Now I'm going to ask you this question. as a nice little warm up in between. So I noticed that Quarter Black Garrett had said this on FNT. It was either last week or this week or previous week, and he tweeted it again today. His take that 90% of anime is trash and only 10% is good. How do you feel about that statement? Personally, I think it's more I think it's more 60-40 personally.
Yeah, I kind of have to go 60-40 because we've had debates here in like 90 days, for example. We both counter opinions to that. But I'd say like there's some pretty
that point.
Like,
I didn't like 90 Days, but I don't think it's trash. I just didn't like it.
Okay, if we're gonna I'm gonna boil this. I think it's 40-60. 40% of it's trash, 60% has really good points. But it also depends on what are you looking for. Because, like, for instance, harem animes. If you jump into a harem anime not wanting a harem anime, you're gonna think it's all trash because it's focused in on the harem and getting the girls versus
and jokes and comedy and sexually infused comedy and this and that. Yeah.
It goes, honestly, it kind of goes to comic books. With me, and I'm not trying to take this to Superman, but just follow me here. Like, if you want a darker, brooding story, you're not going to pick up Superman.
No,
right? You're going to pick up maybe Batman, or you're going to go Dark Horse, or maybe some of the darker, magical Marvel stuff. So it goes to your personal taste on what you're going to want. If you want something joyful, hopeful, bright, and sunny, you're going to pick up Superman. You know, I think that's to it, but. To further point, things like ghost stories do exist.
That is trash, but that's 90s trash. And there is significantly more anime now, especially since the 2000s, where they ramped up production and started really just churning stuff out because a lot of manga and light novels became adaptable and they started investing. I think now, again, I don't know QBG. I don't know. I've rarely interacted with him online, a couple times in his chat here and there, but I don't know what he's seen, and I don't know how much of a weeb he is. But that, to me, that is not that is a take that isn't an accurate take.
I think he's seen more of like the very popular anime, and
and probably at the same time some of the worst.
Yeah. I think that's probably where he's been because he has watched anime and he has talked about anime before. But I think he mainly watches, like the things that get super, super popular that everybody's ranting and raving about, and then he doesn't watch anything else. Like I think he did mention last week on FNT that he saw Delicious in Dungeon, and he said, "Yeah, it's cute, it's wholesome."
No, it isn't. Not the way you described it to me. It's not wholesome. Where it goes,
it's wholesome-ish.
You described to me it's a little depraved the longer it goes on. And listen, you're gonna have to make me watch it because it's not. Listen, guys, you have to remember he's gonna try every couple months. He tries to trick me into watching it.
And I'm gonna get you to watch it.
He hasn't succeeded yet.
Alpha Mega, there's nothing wrong with liking shonen. Okay, I love me shonen. I read Shonen Jump every week.
Yeah. Oh, I like my shonen stuff, but there's a time and a place for it.
Yeah, like for example. I'm pulling up my Shonen Jump real quick because that's where I'm reading Kaiju number 8. I'm reading Chainsaw Man there, and the other I need to get back into reading Hell's Paradise because that's fucking fantastic. The other one I've been watching, Noel's Exorcist. That I think that one, once it gets an anime version, I think you're gonna like that. It's a harem mixed with supernatural fighting.
I will usually give supernatural stuff a try.
It's exorcisms.
I mean, in
an interesting way, mixed with harem.
My tier list of choosing things if they're new and not continuing shows to watch is like if I see fantasy, if I see sci-fi, if I see mecha, if I see supernatural, those are the tags. And then at the very end, when I'm exhausted all that, I'll go back and say, okay, here seems to be a romantic comedy that might be fun. Here seems to be. I generally don't do slice of life. I rarely do slice of life, but I'll look at maybe more normal stuff. I don't do horror anime, or I'll do action falls in there as well, adventure, that kind of stuff. But I will tend to that's the hierarchy of tags I look for when I'm getting stuff when I'm searching out new series and stuff like that. I mean, shit, I'm about a week away from marathoning the fall season. Everything's ending. A few things have ended, and waiting for a couple more things to end. And man, I've got season 5 of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? That's ending in a couple more weeks. 16 episodes of glory with that one. There's a whole bunch of stuff this season. I'm looking forward to getting into.
I started rewatching Code Geass last night. It's one of those animes that I've turned on like 3 different times, watched all the way through. This is my 4th time.
Have you seen the movie yet? Did you watch the movie?
No,
yet?
Because that's the whole reason I'm doing this is I want to watch the movie.
Okay. All right.
I want to watch the movie. I would then want to watch the sequel series that's coming out.
It's not out yet though. They keep pushing it back. They've been teasing that thing for 2 years.
I've heard some things about the movie. I want to watch it because
I like the movie. I liked it.
I want to give because I really like Code Geass. I want to see it because I think how Code Geass ends, everybody does the whole meme of you either live long enough to do be the hero, or no, you either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. I'm like, he's not really a villain. He's actually a hero, but he's going about it in some more subversive ways. He makes everybody thinks he's the villain, but he did that for a very specific reason.
Yeah. So I personally, I know a lot of people who are really hardcore Geass fans. They don't like the movie. I liked it. I thought it's a better ending than where the show leaves it, and I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it.
Okay.
I think you'll like it.
I heard some things about it, like zombies and stuff like that, and it's like
no. That's like the final scene. That's like the very final last 2 seconds. There's a time jump, and it shows you something. I won't spoil it for you.
Okay, I'll watch it because I am curious how.
The rest of it's another clash of countries, and I don't want to spoil anything. So I mean,
I'm gonna watch it. I want to get through. I want to get through all my comfort parts first and watch the genocide.
Yuffie's happy genocide. Yay!
Yuffie's happy genocide.
Well, that's such a tragedy. I mean,
that's such a tragedy. And it's I love this anime. Shit, there's a genocide.
When we do Geass, we're gonna have to split it into 2, like first season, second season, because it's 50
you
episodes. Have to split it. So when we get to him, it just Yuffie, that is such a tragic moment because everything was about to go differently, and he accidentally Geasses her.
Yeah,
because he didn't realize that his other eye had evolved. And he didn't have it, and he didn't know that he had the contact in the one eye, but he didn't know the other eye evolved in that second, and he just says it. And
no, it was his main eye because he was able to turn it off and on. And what happened was,
is that before he said?
His eye evolves, and he didn't realize it didn't turn off. So he just he uses it on her, even though he thought it was off. It's
been about 4 years, maybe 5 since I last did a full watch of it. So I'm misremembering the context of the full moment. I know that the eye evolved and didn't know, but I forgot if it was the both eyes or just the one eye at that point. I think it's still just the one eye.
Real quick, Alpha Omega, I have not seen it. I've only seen the season 1 and 2 of Code Geass. I have not moved past that yet, so I need to get through that.
All right, so I just wanted your take on that. I like I said, I think anime as a whole, it's 60% is good to really great, and there is 40% is either average to forgettable trash.
So I'm gonna pull something up that Alpha Omega said. He when I brought up Hell's Paradise, because I started reading the manga. I need to get back into reading it, but it's web only. It's not on the app because it's too graphic. He says, don't watch the Hell's Paradise anime. It's balls and censored to hell, which is very accurate. But if you don't know that and you watch the anime, it's pretty good. And that's those things like there's the censored bits where you can figure out that this was censored because full-fledged titties, no nippies.
If you listen, there's in the beginning of Heavy Object, Melinda has a shower scene. She's got no nipples. Got no nipples.
But like if you don't realize that in the manga, there's full-fledged nipples and there's insane sex that leaves people in very bad states, you wouldn't know that. So like to that point of like, hey, anime's garbage. Sometimes you don't even know something's censored until you go into the manga.
Well, the point is, if you are an experienced weeb, you can spot the shit that's being censored.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, there's
I
something
was able
that
to
feels off here. Yeah.
I was able to figure out the nipples. I didn't realize, holy shit, in the manga there's sex scenes because in Hell's Paradise there's these beings that can regenerate and they're basically immortal, but they're not. It's a whole thing.
Mhm.
They get their powers through having sex,
Hmm.
and they have sex with each other while switching between male and female. It's a thing.
Whoa.
In the manga, their sexcapades are very, very brutal, and they don't care because they just regenerate and come back.
Yikes. No thank
Yeah,
you.
it's kind of graphic.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic. We brought this up last month because it was a story that everybody in this realm was worried about, talking about the fact that suddenly out of nowhere, Sony was looking at Kadokawa. Not necessarily because of anime, but because Kadokawa is the parent company of From Software. And Sony wants to lock down Souls-like games. They want, because that's right
Yeah,
now they
take them
really
away from me.
they just keep growing in popularity. The thing
Mhm.
is, Souls games. People just get more and more want to play more and more, this and that. I've had personally my fill of it now. I found out I can play them. I can get them done. I've had enough. I'm going back. Right, like I've been saying past couple weeks now. I'm very happy in my single player life playing Octopath Traveler 2. It's very nice. It's complete and total JRPG. I'm having a very happy, calm, and relaxing life right now. Aside from the occasional Starship Troopers, Dark Tide with the boys, so that's fine. But I'm very happy in my single player life again, or at least my single player life where not everything is trying to murder me, and my overpowered leveling actually is beneficial. So, but everybody heard this, and rightfully so. Nobody wanted Sony to have a monopoly on Crunchyroll and Kadokawa, which is one of the preeminent anime studios in Japan, where they own a ton of stuff and produce a ton of stuff. So last month, myself, Dermy, and before he left, Brandon, the anime guy, we went over this. And it was too soon to tell what was going to happen. And I believe my best case scenario was Sony ends up taking them over, but treats them as an individual corporation and leaves them untouched because all they really wanted was From Software, and they leave the anime division to the anime people. Dermy, what was your feeling on it last month?
So originally I hated it. I still hate it, but apparently, and I remember this was before today, Kadokawa really wanted them to basically get everything.
Right there.
Yeah, Kadokawa reportedly they were excited for it, but Kadokawa was the one that wanted them to take everything. They didn't just want partial. They wanted you to take everything.
Because the rumors were that the likes of Tencent and other corporations were trying to take them over. Those were the rumors. And Sony's the devil you know in this case.
It's the devil you know, and I would be remiss not to point out that this is Sony Japan coming in, not Sony America, but still Sony Japan has less power than Sony America. So it's still the devil you know.
But it's the devil you know. And I think that little part of the equation is something that a lot of people were leaving out of the discussion, that this wasn't happening in a vacuum. A lot of people were suddenly going after Kadokawa if the rumors were true. And let's be honest, Sony's better than Tencent. Tencent, I describe them, they are the eldritch being that if let loose would destroy everything. Because they're horrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
And if you didn't look at the Game Awards situation there, that's how far they're willing to go. They're willing to lie to you.
Yeah.
That somebody's just an everyday, YouTuber that did a good thing for the gaming industry. In reality, they're a fucking executive.
Yeah. But it's still the devil you know. And in my opinion, Sony doesn't care about anime. They want From Software. And and I had other stuff lined up, ready to bring it up, but it's kind of all irrelevant. the discussion, the direction I was ready to take it, because leading up to this, the financials were showing that Sony was not capable of taking over Kadokawa as a whole.
Mhm.
It was financially impossible for them to do it. So
It would
for a
have to be
minute,
a whole buyout.
yeah, and they couldn't afford to do it. It wasn't. So that I had a whole different discussion prepared until this afternoon when it broke. Sony and Kadokawa have agreed to a strategic capital business alliance. This is directly from Sony.com. This is their announcement. Tokyo, Japan, Kadokawa Corporation and Sony Group Corporation today signed a strategic capital and business alliance agreement, agreeing to conduct a third-party allotment by Kadokawa to Sony on January 7th, 2025, with Sony acquiring 12 million new Kadokawa shares for approximately 50 billion yen. With the acquisition of the new shares, Sony become Kadokawa's largest shareholder, holding approximately 10% of its shares, including the shares Sony previously acquired in February 2021, which probably has somewhere between 10 and 15 is my guess then. Kadokawa and Sony historically have collaborated on various projects, and though this capital business alliance intend to further strengthen collaboration to maximize both companies' IP value globally to facilitate wider team collaboration, blah, 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 blah. Right now, as I understand it, this is about From Software. And Sony will Sony's going to give me one second. Sony will assert their influence on From Software. I don't think they're going to do anything with Kadokawa when it comes to anime.
What I'm going to say is I don't like this period in the discussion, even if it's just From Software, because I love From Software games. I need to get back into playing Elden Ring. I needed a break. I just need to sit down.
Over that, by the way.
I needed a break. I need to get back into a lot of games. I still need to finish Final Fantasy 16, and I'm going to do that online. I have a plan. Okay, I have a plan. But anyways, I don't like any of this. I think that this is an all-around bad idea. Again, it's the devil you know. That being said, I need to see what happens moving forward before I can give a final judgment. And that's not me being like, oh, I'm copping out or I am doing all sorts of like trying to ride the fence. No, I want to, if they're not going to do, if they're just solely focusing on FromSoft, you can still get fucked for all I care. But as long as you're not touching the anime, it's still, it's like you touch the anime and manga, you're going to the 7th level of hell. But if you're just touching FromSoft, you're going to like maybe the 5th level of hell. You're still going to hell in my book.
Yeah. Now,
but one's worse than the other in my opinion.
Here's the thing though. They simply own 10% of the company.
And that's the other thing.
Like, that means they can't just say do this and make anything happen. There needs to they can probably get together the votes. They probably have like now 2 or 3 seats on their board of directors at Kadokawa. That's my assumption. They have at least 1 or 2 seats with that kind of hold there. But what I don't like is the apocalyptic meltdowns I'm seeing over this. It's over anime stuff. They own 10% of the company. They can't march into Kadokawa Studios and say, do this, censor that. They can't do that. They can't just Bigfoot their way in. Now, I don't think I'm fence riding. I'm simply trying to look at this from a logical perspective here.
There's nothing wrong with looking at things from a logical perspective at all. Like we've had discussions on here about like Square Enix, for example, Square Enix changing, and like we're the ones that are a little bit more positive on that. But like you look at it from a realistic perspective. I don't like you having any percentage.
No, I don't want anybody buying shit up. I really hate it that all the largest corporations in the world keep buying up the smaller stuff, which have made some of the iconic shit that's great. But it's the reality we live in. To pretend otherwise is to be ignorant and stupid.
Now, how I view this is I usually go the red flag route, okay? How many red flags are up before I'm going to be all doomer-pilled? Right now, I'd say there's a good chunk of red flags up, but I'm not doomer-pilled yet. I need to see what you're going to do. I'm watching you is essentially my position I'm on. You take, and I'm going to take this to Intergalactic real quick. When Intergalactic trailer comes up, red flags all over the place. It's Naughty Dog.
Massive history. There's a lot of history there.
Yeah, there's a lot of history
Yeah.
all over the place here, and it's pattern recognition, all this. You're like, okay, I can already tell out the gate you're going to be dog water. I don't really need much more to figure this out. The math's already lined up. With this, I need more data and more information before I can give a final judgment. Right now, I'm wait and see because I don't have the data. I don't have the info. Another thing, when it comes to Witcher 4, for example, and I know this is video games, but
that's fine.
I have my red flags up for Witcher 4, but my thing is it's
need a
so much
gameplay
lore
trailer.
stuff.
Need a story trailer. Just that cinematic trailer doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and I need a lot of lore information that I don't have. And when I went to Jed's video, he pointed out some logical things, but those are more lore perspectives that I'm not the guy to go to this, so I'm not really giving my opinion on that.
Yeah, and Alpha Omega brings it up. This is kind of what I said was the best possible outcome. Kadokawa gets Sony's basically a shield against worse things, is what they are. And the deal probably says we're going to let you work with us on From Software games and leave our anime alone. Or maybe there'll be a deal where you leave the anime alone, but we'll give you a sweet deal when we let you put it on Crunchyroll. Is what it is.
It could probably. Oh, that I never thought of that. I hate Crunchyroll.
Well, I hate Crunchyroll too, but it is what it is. But so
I never even thought about that. How many Kadokawa animes are on Crunchyroll?
Yeah,
now that I'm thinking about
this might be there might be a financial agreement in all this that Sony likes because they'll get anime for cheap.
Yeah, they'll get anime for cheap.
It's cheap licensing, and
because it's only 10% control, there's a chance that they're gonna get From Software maybe before everybody else. Maybe that's gonna be part of the deal. Who knows?
Either way, I look at this, and I'll bring Alpha Omega's chat back up here. Is that this looks like to me? This is the best possible outcome. Sony gets a taste of the pie, but they're gonna get what they really want. They're gonna get to play with From Software, and for those of you who are worried, like Greasy Gumbo in the chat, he just wants them to not ruin it. I want you guys to keep enjoying your Dark Souls-like games from Software and all that kind of stuff. For me, my priority is the animation studios. That's my priority in this. I don't want my anime to suffer. And
to like Greasy Gumbo's other point, there's tons of issues with, say, God of War Ragnarok, for example. Some groups that they brought in, Sweet Baby Inc. Sony, outside of that, Sony did pretty much leave Ragnarok alone because Santa Monica knew what they needed to do there.
Sony, with the exception of some of the licensing they do for their silly censorship stuff, like censoring boobies or cleavage and this and like that and asses, they are mostly hands off because the problems that we've been having with a lot of games have nothing to do itself outside of some censorship. It has to do when it goes to the localizers, and that's separate from Sony. That isn't Sony. That's a separate beast.
I would say that's not Sony Japan. So like this, for example, this Kadokawa deal is Sony Japan. The Sony that we fucking hate is the Sony that's usually in charge, which you're right is the localizers, but that's Sony America, and they're all eat my sweaty asshole after a hard workout.
In reality, though, to take it back to a broader perspective right now, there's a deep sea change going on in the culture war here in the West due to the election. And we're already seeing some ramifications of it. Yeah. Due to all that stuff. And there's a lot of retreating by the wokies on the front lines. Now, there are rumors that they're retreating publicly, but they'll try to slip it in other ways. Yeah, but not so much bridge. I'm talking about the rumor that with Mass Effect and BioWare is that they're stripping everything out from the front of it that looks woke and agenda driven, but then they'll try and slip it in with DLCs and updates.
Or kind of like how Disney, for example, is stripping out a transgender thing, but
that thing, in
other areas they're going to have something.
So what I'm saying is, I think that there's going to be a change, and some of them might think they're going to get away with slipping it in afterwards, but they're not going to, because we're all being vigilant still. We know we're winning, so we're not going to I'm not taking my foot off the gas pedal. I'm not taking my foot off their necks. I'm going to keep looking into this stuff, but I'm going to keep coming at it, at least from where I am, with logic and facts. I'm not going to fearmonger. I'm not going to freak out. I will operate with the things that I see before me that are receipts and happening before you. Like they're talking about it. Yes, there is ESG and DEI all over the place. And when it changes its form, we know when it changes its form, but there is a retreat going on. There's a visual retreat.
What I also say is, even though you like Sony as your preferred thing, I also know you're not a Sony pony.
No, I'm not.
You're not gonna just sit there and suckle at the teat of Sony because Sony.
No.
You will actually give them criticism. So when like you're saying that, I'm actually saying like similar stuff. I don't like Sony at all. They have games that I like, primarily Final Fantasy. Please let them go. But outside of that, like I don't have a stake in the fight. I just leave my anime alone. I don't trust them. So if we're both agreeing on this, like I think I don't want to doomsay just yet.
That's what I hate. I hate the doomsaying. I hate the doom spirals of it's over, it's done. It's just nothing. Nothing's happened yet.
There's sometimes when you do like, there's a lot of people out there that will always jump to the extreme side, always jump here, and it's like I'm gonna say about 25% of the time, the people that immediately jump to the doomsaying, they do turn out right, but without the information, without us having like the things that lead us there, it doesn't really help.
In some cases,
I get that info, I can't deem it this way yet.
In some cases, the doomsaying will work because when you're talking about Disney, when you're talking about Naughty Dog, there's mountains of evidence, and even in this very moment, that tells us otherwise.
Yeah.
So like, we know what that is. But for our example, you brought before Square Enix, there's a lot of evidence to counterbalance what was done as to what's happening now.
And there is a Square Enix story that I'm saving for tomorrow, but like,
I know which one you're. I know
that dude coming out here basically saying, "Hey, I don't."
What's
like
the internet going to do? What do you think the internet?
Yeah, the internet's going to do it, but like I saw somebody say that it's Gunnergate again, and it's like it's not. He's actually doing the thing that I wish more creators would do, and just nicely asking, "Hey, you know what? I don't really like these mods. Can you not do it?" He probably fully expects them to happen, but he's being actually very nice about it.
Listen, my Final Fantasy games are on my console, so I don't have access to mods, but I have seen the work of the modders, of what they do with Tifa, and hey,
I don't like to mod games usually.
I don't mod games visually.
Necessary.
I don't mod games I only mod games generally for strategy or
like we did the mods for
visual
Conan.
Purposes. Well, that needed it.
It needed it. And also, like, I tried to mod Fallout New Vegas because it would not play without it. But outside of that, like,
I mod glamour stuff. Like when I did, I'll mod for like different outfits or weapons, visuals. But I don't mod to give myself an advantage. I mod for visual enjoyment. Is what I usually mod for. Strategy games did like Paradox games. The modding community is better than Paradox. They make the games better. So that's different.
Static points out like upscaling mods, but
yeah.
You know, I've seen some people already like freak out about that. It's like he's kind of just requesting it. He knows it's probably not going to happen. He's just being nice about it instead of freaking out.
I laughed about it. I laughed about it.
I'm going to bring it up tomorrow just for more people to give their input.
Well, you also want to make fun of Cloud.
Yeah,
I know you.
Gunner Extreme.
I know you. But so that's it for now. This story is over. It's gonna probably, if anything happens, we're years away from that because
we're roughly 4 years.
Well, if Sony does anything to fuck with it, it's gonna be years before we know. Because right now, especially with anime, a lot of this shit's already in production for the next year. A lot of it. I mean, I go to the list I show you all the time. I have half the schedules for the next year of what I'm looking forward to. And then when it comes to games take at minimum 3 to 4 years to produce now.
Yeah.
So
which sucks.
And here's the thing. Considering what's going on in the world, and yes, 4 years from now, we're out of the Trump administration and probably into the Vance administration. I think companies are going to go back to wanting to make money.
I
think
do.
we're back to that.
I'm still a little bit skeptic on the idea that companies want to go back to making money, but I do think some companies want to go back to making money. I do think that's a thing that is existing right now. Some people, like, I'll even take Disney. I don't trust Sony
Never.
and Disney. I have the equal amount of trust for. I hate them both. I think they're both awful. Whatever. Like Disney's latest change, for example, I think this shows they're not really changing. They just want to make
That's
money.
fear. Disney is
just
fear.
That's just pure
Sony,
fear.
Sony is still, for the most part, a soulless corporation that in the end, I think greed will win out. I also always call them the reactionary retard. That's what I call them. They're the reactionary retard. They try to react to things and do things without really thinking about it. They're not smart, but they're still a soulless corporation. Disney is run by agenda, and they're afraid now because it's all falling apart. They've linked so much to it. Everything is failing. I'm sorry. The temporary wins of Inside Out 2 and Moana, those are temporary, and they're going to be wiped out today by Mufasa.
I know Chris Gore is apparently saying Mufasa isn't woke. I'm sorry. You're going to sit here and tell me.
I've heard the breakdowns. That sounds pretty fucking woke to me.
You're going to sit here and tell me that Mufasa was deemed the lesser lion and was raised by the female lions, but Scar, who was not his biological brother, by the way, and they did not grow up together, Scar was raised by the male lions and was deemed a good leader. You're gonna tell me that that's not woke, when literally that means Mufasa's only Mufasa because of women and Scar's only evil because of men.
Listen. I like Chris Gore. He's a nice, cool dude, but I generally don't listen to him for any of his takes.
Yeah,
I just don't. I didn't grow. Even though I was around when G4 was a thing. I never watched it, so I don't have this connection to Chris Gore that a lot of other people in our sphere do.
I don't have a connection to Chris Gore because of G4. I have a connection to him because he worked at FX once, and my family liked to watch FX movies. And in like commercial breaks, he would come on with somebody else and just give fun little tidbits about different movies. Like I found out that Fantastic Four, X-Men 3, and there was another movie were all filmed in the same forest around the same time even. So that was all because of him. Like I do like Chris Gore.
All right. Okay, yes. I generally don't agree with his takes. I'm not that is other to say about him as a person, a nice, cool dude who generally everybody likes. I just don't care what he has to say because I don't agree with him.
There's sometimes where I do agree with him, but it's 50-50. Like with most people.
The only thing that really bugs me about Chris Gore is when he spoils shit because he got to see it first.
Yes.
It's like, dude, can you just shut up? Some of us have review channels and like to not be spoiled.
Yes.
That's simple. Like
I love you, Chris.
I would have loved to have found out that KB and Skeleton Crew had two moms on my own. That would have been so much better than knowing it was coming.
I love you, Chris. Quit telling us everything. Let us find out ourselves.
Yeah. Somebody who has this ear needs to tell him to stop doing that shit because guess what? A lot of people don't like it.
And real quick, Alpha Omega, there's nothing wrong with being liberal. Like I'm friends with tons of liberals, and I don't mind somebody who's liberal. As long as you're not a raging leftist, I don't give a damn.
In the end, I pretty much hang out with people who lean conservative or right in the middle. That's just the way it is now. I don't know any liberal people really. I don't think.
I can hang out with basically anybody. Like some of my best friends here in Central Kansas, I have liberal friends. I don't give a damn. They're just not. They understand that leftists are freak, and we have conversations and we disagree. Simple enough.
Well, I don't think we're going to disagree about this.
Don't.
So this was announced at the beginning of the month. And I asked you about it, and you said, "Yeah, I've seen it." I said, "Oh, well, we're going to talk about it."
No, I said, "Yeah, I'll look into it," and then I looked into it, and I immediately died inside.
What? You don't like the fact that Sunrise and Evangelion are making a Gundam anime? You're not into it.
For those of you who aren't super Gundam fans like me, when you judge Gundam information and Gundam news, one of the things you always kind of point out is how does the Gundam look itself?
Yes.
Let's go. Build fighters was a thing. Okay, build fighters existed. This is nightmare fuel.
Yeah, look at this thing.
This makes build fighters look good. By
Look at this
comparison.
thing. What is this? This is not a Gundam.
No, it's not. This is there's no Gundam in this thing at all. And again, here I'll pull up Build Fighters.
And you want to look at here's you want to see the protagonists in this, the cast?
I already saw them.
What is this?
They're Zoomer they're literally Zoomers mixed with Evangelion. Like all those characters, you can see Evangelion.
All right.
Each one of them is an Evangelion fighter.
We've got a trailer.
But here, I'm gonna pull
right.
this up real quick.
All right.
I don't have a great picture. Here's a decent picture.
I skipped Build Fighters because it was made for kids. And I didn't care.
It is I always answer it exists, but this is the decent picture, but it still doesn't even encapsulate just how awful the designs were.
Yeah, because also remember, those aren't even real size Gundams. They're all like mini Gundams for like mini competition battles in the real world, right?
Yeah,
they're like tiny.
Yeah, I skipped it. There,
like, apparently, isn't the mom in that like a MILF or something?
I have no idea. There's some cool designs, but for the most part, they like the main. If you haven't seen, I think it's called Dragon Ball Z Cross or something like that.
I don't watch those alternate.
Not Dragon Ball
like,
Z. Okay. Digimon Cross, or
I've seen a lot. It was
one of their. Yeah. It was one of their newer ones, but they got rid of Digivolution and they started focusing on like fusion, and it was ugly fusion. Let me see if I can.
So let's read this again. Via Animate Times, an all-new TV series, Mobile Suit Gundam. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Jikunix was around on December 4th. Was announced, on December 4th at Gundam Conference Winter 2024. Rebuild of Evangelion director Kazuya Tsurumaki will direct the series with Yoji Inokido, Evangelion Sailor Moon Revolutionary Guru Utenia, that's old school, handling the series composition alongside Evangelion creator Hideki Anno. Now, Anno is one of the godfathers of anime, okay? Famously lost his mind with depression during the original Evangelion,
and
which led to it being nuts at the end, and then got help, got healthy, got a better wife, and did rebuild, which to me started off great and ended flat. But all the respect to Anno, because I was a huge Eva fan for a lot of years. I no shade thrown at him. Go ahead.
I do like. Is it Eva or Ava? I don't know.
I always say Eva.
I think it's Eva.
It's Evangelion. Just don't say Jellion or I'll slap you.
I'm not gonna say. I like Evangelion. I like the original. I think there's a very specific way in order to watch the anime. This is the end. And then I also have a theory that the like 1.0 point whatevers, like they're redux versions, they're remakes.
They are.
I think those are actually different timeline that is happening kind of like at the same time.
Oh, it's alternate. It's alternate.
It's alternate universe, and this is me trying to figure out how a manic depressant dude that needed help made his world. So my thing sounds very big brain, but at the same time, it's very like.
Here's the thing.
Okay, it could actually be.
Here's the thing. There are four if you count Girlfriend of Steel. There are three different Evangelion timelines. There's the original anime plus End of Eva. There's Rebuild, and then there's the manga. They all end completely differently. They're all completely different.
I've always thought that Rebuild was the canonical ending because my theory is they all happen at the same time. And like when you go to This Is the End, once he enters the head of what's her name?
Well, not so much head. It's the entire world is merging during Third Impact.
But when he himself like goes into the Third Impact.
Shinji goes into the
Third
starts
Impact,
it, and he and Asuka are mixing.
When he's starting to mix with her, that's when I also think like everything's kind of happening at the same time. Like the ending for Rebuild is happening at the same time, and the last episode for the anime is happening then.
Well, think about here's the thing. The last episode of the anime doesn't count You cut off right as it begins because that's when End of Eva begins. So you stop the anime and you watch the uncut versions. Don't watch the regular. You have to watch the uncut versions. You have to stop right as that stuff begins because that's where End of Eva starts. So because those last two episodes were only done because that's when Anno had his meltdown and he left. If I remember correctly, he literally was gone and they had to scramble to put together the final two episodes. So that's what they did.
No, I'm not getting into Eva Alpha. I'm not getting into my mom. This is fucking mom.
Well,
mom.
Ray is. And Eva 01 is, but you know, Asuka's best girl. Fuck that. Anyway, no, but here's the thing. Evangelion. Actually, she's German. Originally, she's Japanese German. Originally, and they changed it. They changed her origins for Rebuild. So that's Asuka's not even the same Asuka in Rebuild. She's different because it's not even the same origins.
And Static just watch Evangelion.
But so what I'm saying is, in Eva 1, that's Anno when he's ill. Rebuild is Anno healthy. The manga isn't even Anno. That's somebody entirely different doing it. At a certain point, like with the anime and Rebuild, it deviates and goes its own way. And frankly, Eva manga, I looked into it. I even read a little bit of it towards the end because I want to see how it ended. It's a nice, healthy, sane ending. Just like sort of, it's nice and sane. It's healthy.
I find it interesting that several of my favorite animes, Gundam and Eva, are all created with people that have serious mental issues. Because Gundam, for example, the creator, he has I think he had his own mental issues. I could be getting this wrong, but like there's some stories where he's like very happy, very joyful, and then there's some stories where he's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna fuck you all up now."
Point is, all respect to Hideki Anno. I respect him. I love most of what he does, but I don't want him doing Gundam.
No. His story style telling does not translate to Gundam, where Gundam is about wars and conquest. Evangelion was about theology and gods and universes and stuff like that. Like they don't
man playing God.
Yeah, man playing God. It doesn't mix. They're two different things.
Gundam is about humanity and the horrors of war and what it does to people and children and that kind of stuff.
It was Japan's answer to Star Wars and Star Trek.
Ikoto Yamashita is handling the anime's mechanical design. The new anime marks a seismic collaboration between Sunrise and Evangelion studio Kara. With big expectations attached, it is perhaps unsurprising the series will first premiere as a reconstructed film version in 373 theaters nationwide in Japan, starting on January 17th. So it is right around the corner. Readers can check the first about this, and we have a trailer. I don't wanna. I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know. I don't know. So
why?
Here we go. Because I want to see you cry.
It looks hideous.
Well, let's see how hideous. Here we go. This is 1 minute 57 seconds.
My eyes are gonna throw up. I feel it.
直径 6.4km のスペースコロニーは 113.5 秒に1回回転し、1G の遠心力
Ooh, they got a little bit of that CG 3D shit going on.
I don't mind it if it's for buildings.
I know, but I never like it. I never like it. I'm tired of it. They need to go back to at least hand-drawn, sort of. I don't know.
空は頭の上じゃなく、足の下にあるんだ。
And if we get hit for this, I'm going to fight it.
Those of us born in the colonies.
本物の重力も本物の空も知らない。もちろん本物の海も。
Oh no! Oh no!
賞金を。
Why are we? Listen. We just got through the last Gundam series, Witch and Mercury, with a female protagonist that was, in the end, insufferable. Why are we doing this again?
A clan battle where you fight in mobile suits for prize money. What?
So we're deviating again. All right.
かけてモビルスーツでバトルする。
And this is a little girl. This isn't even a teenager. This looks like a little girl. I'm not even saying it's Lolly. It just looks like a little girl.
Yeah, children are very often the main focus within
Yeah,
Gundam
but usually
because it's-
15, 16-year-olds, you know? Like
yeah,
teenagers.
there's some times where they're a little younger, but you're right. They're usually teenagers.
Protagonist is usually a
Mm.
teenager.
バトルする。クランバトル？クラバなんてまともなやつはやらない。
僕は修二。
私、もちろん。
No!
No.
God damn it, they have a femboy.
Yeah. I do not like this animation style.
I don't
do
like
not
it.
li-
I don't.
I mean,
I don't.
because you and I both know historically Gundam has sexy in it. A lot of
Yeah,
sexy.
this is a lot of Evangelion I'm seeing right now. This is not
Mm.
Gundam.
意外と可愛い名前。
Well, hold on one second.
Even
Gunplaw's
Seth-
gonna sell. Gunplaw's gonna Gunplaw. There's
Yeah,
nothing
Witch of
gonna stop that.
Mercury, they sold fucking a lot, but that's how they
That's
judge whether it's
Gunpla.
successful or not.
But
And I
it wasn't-
hated their Gunpla.
But
I
the anime
hated
was
it.
a disaster. Gunpla
Yeah.
is Gunpla. They're gonna buy that shit. They're gonna mix and match it. They're gonna do their
Gunpla
thing.
is what financially rolls them.
Yeah. You notice
they
they're not making more Witch of Mercury though. They're not.
Yeah,
not gonna.
thank God. Well,
あんたさ、クランバトルやらない？
素人を巻き込むな。本当に死ぬぞ。まだ子供じゃん。クラバは命がけなんだよ。
モビルスーツ2対2のマブス。相手の
God damn, that doesn't even look like a mobile suit cockpit. That
Oh
looks
man,
like an Evangelion
they threw a Haru in there. God damn it.
I don't mind the Haru, but I don't like
just-
the look of it. It looks
know,
more
but
like
I'm
a
just-
speaker.
I mean, it's just like let's take a break from the Harus. You've ruined the fun of Haru at this point.
Well, Harus are like the
Mascot, I know, but
well, it's not just the mascot, but they're kind of like the chocobos, and the Moogles. They're like they transcend.
I know, but it's I don't like what they've done with it lately, so that's why I'm annoyed. I don't
Have
wanna
you
see it.
not seen the Haru mobile suit?
No.
The mobile suit that's
Togo.
literally a Haru.
Oh, jeez. No, I have not.
That's old.
破壊すれば勝ちだ。
君も向こう側見えた。
勝つから。信じて。
Man, he had a goddamn hat on.
I don't mind it, but I don't like it either.
That I don't want my Haru to wear a goddamn beanie. Why is he wearing a beanie?
Yeah, Alpha. Please don't market this for women.
Yeah.
Just like good.
一緒にクランバトルやってくれるの？
戦え。
Okay, we're over halfway through this. We haven't seen a single Gundam.
I keep hearing something about clan battles. Gundam is saying fight. He looks like he's having what the fuck is on his head. He's looking at something that kind of looks like a Gundam.
There's clearly a mech behind him, but
ガンダムが言っている。
there we go.
Oh god damn. I'm not a fan of the music either, but I don't hate
Well,
it.
it's I'll lower it a little bit.
It's
really
kind of like old
poppy.
school Gundam music.
Yeah,
that
but
sometimes you
it's
saw, but it doesn't. Actually, no. It feels more like some of the old school mech animes that weren't Gundam, like
Mhm.
other stuff that were supposed to become more popular. Like Ava had music like this, not Gundam. Again, it feels more like Ava than Gundam, and these don't look like Gundams.
These don't look like Gundams. These are not Gundams.
Wait, you're just having an open battle in a colony? What the hell?
あの子は間合いが分かってるんだ。
Please, what?
本物
Okay, there's a Zaku.
Well, something that looks like a Zaku.
Yeah. Oh, there's another shot of that.
のかもしれない。
Oh god, I hate that. I hate it.
待ち
So much more as it says there. All right, it's just the title. I'm not watching this.
I might watch it just to see because I watch Gundam. If I'm happily like I was surprised about the CGI one. It was not great. I'm not gonna watch it again.
Yeah, but
But
it wasn't meant to be a real series. They're trying to do
Yeah.
something with this.
it
I don't know.
And Alpha Omega's right. This is aimed for teenagers and female audiences, probably a Fuji. I could agree. It's not aimed towards the Gundam audience, and that's the biggest problem. Like this was something
I'm
that was brought.
hungry.
This is something that was brought up by Bandai when they were making Witch of Mercury. They were like, "Well, we need to try to market to a new audience. We need to try to market to a new audience." It's like, no,
How'd that go?
market to your audience. Market
I
to the
mean-
people that actually like what you have. Why is this so hard?
I don't know. And and you know what? This has nothing to do with anything we've been talking about leading up to this. This is them
No.
making their decisions of their own stupidity.
Yeah, this is not the.
No outside forces influencing them to do this.
No.
They are making dumb decisions all on their own.
This was Ava. This wasn't Gundam. None of this was Gundam. The
I mean,
music felt more like Evangelion. The characters look more like Evangelion. The mechs don't look like Gundam. The only recognizable thing is they're more blocky than humanoidish. But this wasn't Gundam. This is something completely different.
yeah, but to answer this, you know what? Maybe make a new one by giving us a new 50 episode saga. Make a new 50 episode saga and recapture the glory.
Well, to Alpha's point, like they tried to do something like that with Iron Blood Orphan, but they were like, "Well, we didn't get the reception we wanted."
Because you made misery porn.
Well, I mean, sometimes Gundam can be misery porn, but
Yeah, but not-
you made real misery porn.
Yeah.
There that's like, but I like Iron Blood Orphan, but that's also because I like misery porn.
Exactly.
But when it comes to Gundam, you haven't had like, you haven't had your I'm trying to remember his name. It's not Haro. Yeah, it is Haro. You haven't had a good Haro or a good Char for a while. And I'm not saying that you need to bring those two. It's not Haro. I can't remember the main character's name, but you haven't had these two characters for a while. And what I mean there is like these are two like consistent characters that every so often show up, do their whole thing, and even if they're just styles of them. You haven't had that. You haven't had an actual.
What you need for
war.
that though is you need a 50 episode saga. You need a 50 episode epic to build a new Gundam world, and they haven't done that in a decade.
Alpha, I agree. Iron Blood Orphan is fantastic storytelling. It is misery porn, but they didn't get who they wanted, and they said we scared people off. But it's like, but why don't you try to do the 50 episode saga?
Yeah.
Well, I know G Gundam's trying to do something again and try to recapture that, and it's like, okay, do that
right now.
That's a different Gundam audience, yeah, but do that. That could actually.
I still haven't watched it. I have it. It's on my to watch list. I'm just waiting for the right moment where I'm really in the mood. The final movie to close out the Seed saga did banger. Everybody loved it. It did really well. But that's the end of that now. Start something new.
I haven't seen Seed, but one of the things that was pointed out to me with Seed is a retelling of
yes,
of the original. I watch Universal Century.
Yeah,
it's just in a new timeline and a new.
And I loved it.
Like, why do you think this was so successful? Why do you think people gravitated towards this? Because you do need like a retelling of like Wing. You need a retelling of Universal Century. You need these like consistent characters that pop up every so often because it's like your heart. It's like your Haro. Okay, it's like your little ball. These characters are something that define you. So you. Like everything might have somebody in a metal mask, but they need to have instances of what made Char likable or what made the guy from Wing likable. There's things about these characters that need to constantly reappear,
but
they don't need to be one-to-one.
50 episodes.
Yeah,
and you also need real Gundams.
Yeah,
you don't need the Witch from Mercury garbage. You don't need this garbage. You need real Gundams.
And what made Barbatos so fucking awesome was he looked battle scarred. He was mismatched. He had all these pieces, and it was more brutal. That's what people really liked about that. And he fit the mold of a Gundam without looking like a traditional.
All you
Gundam.
got to do to bring Gunpla back into it, look at Gunpla. People make fantastic looking custom Gundams. It's not hard to make cool looking Gundams still. There is an infinite amount of things to dive into to create cool designs. People do it all the time.
Young people still buy manga legatus, just demographics changed. Younger people like hopeful messages and modern slick visuals. You can do, and that's the thing, you can do that in Gundam. You can have slick looking Gundams that look like real Gundams that aren't fucking goddamn, the fucking, I hate Witcher-Mercury. I hate it.
Yes.
It's not.
And you were
It's
and
slick.
you were sold on it until the second half of season 1.
Mhm.
You were sold on it, and I warned you. I said, "Dude, it's not going to go well." You're like, "No, it's gonna be fine." And yeah,
Like I'll
Oh.
say, the Ariel has like you don't have to make it look like Ariel, but you can make a Gundam look slick and
Mhm.
have that more not slender feminine
Toned.
features, but
Toned.
more of like more toned,
Fit.
more like fit, and have maybe like newer looks, maybe a more modern looking mobile suit. You can do that. You got to put the effort in.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out how this goes. If it goes to series, you'll watch it. You'll tell me how it is. I don't. I can't stand that animation style for the characters. I'm put off by that alone.
It's that modern day style that I don't hate. It just doesn't
They're
fit
all effeminate. Even the men are effeminate,
It
and
doesn't-
there's not even any.
Mhm.
Even the adults look like children.
It doesn't fit in Gundam. That's the biggest
Yeah.
problem. None of this is Gundam.
Yeah.
This is Evangelion, where Evangelion, you can have the more feminine featured characters because that's a different story style. That's a different thing. And even in Evangelion, you had men.
Oh, and men were men, and when the women were women, they were women.
Yeah.
Misato.
There's these balancing acts that it feels like
Yeah.
they don't care about.
Yeah. All right. I'm out of topics. You got
Well, yeah,
anything?
femboys aren't new at Alpha. They're not new, but it's like it's only femboys.
They're
now. It's
making
like-
there's a certain segment of animation style that's trying to creep in, and I'm
Like-
against it.
and I don't want to give Cloud a win, but what I will say is this style of anime, this
Pokemon.
kind of like more slicker, feminine, more looks, it was in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it's like it works there because that's more aimed for kids.
Yeah.
This doesn't work for Gundam, which
Yeah.
is supposed to be a little bit more for like young
Adults.
adults
Yeah.
and teenagers and people that are wanting a little bit edgy.
Yeah. All right. I'm out of topics. You got anything you want to throw out there, or are we done?
The only other thing I have, I'm saving for tomorrow, and I have a different opinion on it than most other people. Nintendo,
Mm.
I could pull it. I'm saving it for tomorrow, but Nintendo
Well, it's not
is,
anime, so yes, it's
well, it is kind of. Nintendo is not allowing like 2 different JRPG remakes on their Switch.
Oh, I think I saw that. I just didn't read
Yeah,
about it.
and I read a little bit about it, and I have the opinion.
Oh,
I have it-
yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I know. What you're
Yeah, and I was reading through it, and it's like I don't like it, but at the same time, it's like Nintendo does have the right to not platform.
Well, that's a
certain
tomorrow
things,
topic. That's not
so-
for this.
Yeah,
All right.
and get other people's opinion because that's my
Yeah.
take. Maybe somebody could switch my take. so.
Yeah. All right, then we are done. And next month is a special month.
Mhm.
Dermy will not make me choose something at random because we're doing our first of likely to be many special episodes where January, Anime Odyssey, we will be focusing on One Piece. From East Blue to Ennis Lobby. I scaled it back. I went a little longer. I know I've announced it multiple times, but I've scaled it back. I realized it being a little too adventurous, trying to go too much, too far, too much to talk about. But I want to stop at Ennis Lobby so that we can talk about Robin, because then I feel we're doing a disservice not being able to talk about Robin. So we will be doing that. We're putting a panel together. We already got a couple people. We'll see if we can get any more. So we'll be doing that. And let me get the exact day. I believe it's the 31st.
I don't think. I think it's the 20th.
Oh, sorry, 30th. It's the 30th.
30th. That's the last Thursday.
Yeah, we do usually the last Thursday.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, because the
I'm
23rd,
I'm dumb one.
the 23rd is Nerdgasm, and we're doing Doctor Who this in January for Nerdgasm. We're doing Doctor Who. I decided that yesterday. Well, you know,
I
what's
guess
next
I'm gonna
week?
be. I guess I'm going to be on fucking midweek.
Nerdgasm.
Not. I guess I'm gonna be on that week's Nerdgasm because
You know what's
wanna
next
be-
week. You know what's next week.
Yeah, I know it's next week. I know.
So Screen Rant already did a review ahead of it. It's timey-wimey fun. Yeah, right.
There's been barely any news. This tells me people are very hushed right now and not wanting to promote it as much as they want to. And I'm
Oh, but we have to decide what it's. So what? It's going to be premiering
it's premiering
Tuesday
Wednesday.
morning. Tuesday
yeah,
night, Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
So we'll let you guys know what day Who Cares reviews will be because Jed's on the road, so we have to make sure
it
we
might be
line it
next
up.
Saturday.
So we might have to push it to next weekend, which
Yeah.
is fine. We did that anyway before. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
so
perfectly fine.
we'll let you guys know. And Greasy, right now, gaming is basically it happens here first on the main channel and then gets uploaded to the arcade as usual right now because I get more of an audience here. More of you guys see it happen here and then less people watch it on the arcade. Right now, we're just doing co-op stuff. That means Starship Troopers and Dark Tide. I'm currently for my private play stuff doing that. Likely the stuff I bought for myself for my couple games I got for Christmas, that's really for me to play. It's not really for public streaming, but for the spring is when the shit's really gonna happen. We've got Suikoden 1 and 2 remaster. We've got the Lunar remaster collection. If I get the urge to do any of the because I feel like it games, I'll do that, of course. But as said, for anything new, look for the spring. That's what we're going to really do. Because right now I'm also I'm in a review mode right now. I've got regular stuff I'm doing for the channel, which means my gaming schedule. We did a lot of gaming because I didn't have a lot to do during that period of time. But now I've got the regular reviews. I got regular stuff I'm covering, regular streams. So those have to take priority. The gaming's kind of just side. But there will be some next year, a lot of good stuff coming that I'll share with you guys because that's just me enjoying stuff I love. Suikoden, Lunar.
I will say, Dermy's Daily Dictation is going to be returning in the new year. I finally found a way to make it work, and then gaming streams are also going to be returning. It's just going to be on Dermy Wormy Live.
Oh, and of course, next month, Ballbusters Gaming will return with another Among Us.
Yeah, next month is going to be Ballbusters Gaming because I have to. Yeah. This month was just it's.
Everybody's traveling right now. There's no lock. You can't get enough people. It's that simple.
It's one, you can't get enough people. Everybody's traveling. Plus, it's Christmas. Everybody's doing something. Yeah. Like this Saturday, there's no Saturday charity because I'm going to be hanging out with.
Yeah, you two are going to sleepaway camp. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to sleepaway camp.
And I mean, I barely have enough for. I'm trying to make sure I get enough people for roundtable because.
By the way, Daily Dictation, it's going to have to go over a name change because it's going to be only one day a week.
You can't handle it because Gal she stole the title from you. You just can't. That's why.
Well,
you take it.
It was. I think that was part of the problem with the channel growth. So I'm going to be. I'm turning it to Dermy's Dictation. It's just going to be on Sundays.
That's probably a good idea because.
And then it's not just going to be focused on like a handful of pop culture news. It's going to be focused in on pop culture, maybe some actual culture and other stuff. Like it's branching out.
Yeah.
I'm finding I have a different idea for it.
It's nothing wrong with that. We all have to, at certain points, you have to try and get the channel to grow in other ways. I mean,
that's going to be on Dermy Wormy Live versus the main Dermy Wormy. Yeah. That way I can try to get that to grow because that's where I'm going to be trying to move some stuff over there.
Yeah. All your, basically all your internet drama stuff you like to talk about. that kills your algorithm on your main channel.
Some internet drama stuff, things like that. And then I'm reworking Dermy Wormy clips to be Dermy Wormy Talks, which will be more the internet drama, maybe some cultural stuff that doesn't work on my main channel. So,
which literally does kill his algorithm. We know exactly what killed his algorithm 2 months ago. We know exactly what it was,
and we'll do that. We'll have that stuff over there versus this is pop culture and Ballbusters.
Watch that one blow up for it's internet drama.
Oh, it's gonna do.
That's the channel that'll blow up for you.
Yeah.
It's so easy to cover that shit. All right, then we are done. We'll see you guys throughout the rest of the week and the weekend. And if we don't see you before next Monday and Tuesday, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, guys.
We'll see you guys later. Good night, everybody.